Greetings, one and all, to the most cursed, most cringiest corner of the internet. A YouTube channel content creator actively alienating everyone in both the analog and digital world. Well, welcome and good evening, you wonderful dice of all alignments. I am Lunar Dee Eight. By the way, Rosa, I don't like Rosa. But yeah, Sakutaro died last episode. I mean, he was murdered. And I feel that was very, very wrong. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me on that. Ooh. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be saying. I assume this is her trying to say Sakutaro, but, you know, I feel like some of this stuff is her trying to say Sakutaro, but crying very much, and I feel like some of this stuff is, I think, Sakutaro trying to talk, but, you know, he's kind of dead, or dying. Maria, do not cry. Beatrice, wah. Sakutaro was a good friend. As long as you do not forget that, he will always be with you. So do not cry. Bring him back to life. You can use a lot of magic, Beato. You can even bring Sakutaro back to life, right? About that. Of course, if Sakutaro had been my furniture, it would be easy. However, Sakutaro is your furniture. That makes it difficult for me. If you say it's difficult, that means it isn't impossible, right? Bring him back to life. Bring him back to life with the endless magic. To tell the truth, Sakutaro's vessel was a stuffed animal Rosa made herself, correct? That Rosa has denied Sakutaro. A life that is not permitted by its own mother cannot exist. Beatrice's words were feeble. Yeah, it did say in the description that the Meister kind of has to be the only one to revive the... Though I do wonder, is it possible that Angie, with the resurrection magic, might be able to bring Sakutaro back? Do I also get the feeling that in the episode 3, when Maria got strangled to death, it was actually Rosa who did it, and then Rosa either accidentally or in her own grief killed herself? Or was attacked by someone else who was angry at Maria being strangled to death? But I kind of feel like in this situation, we're likely to see a darker side of Maria. And again, I was like, I feel like in various situations, like, it's like, has Natsui got a split personality? Is about Rosa, and of course we've seen the stuff of Ava. Again, it's kind of the same person who made Higurashi. So with that, it was kind of a roulette of every character takes turns playing the game of roulette. After all, it's a game of werewolf. It's a popular game. It's kind of the whole thing that Among Us is based on. Because she knew that, no matter what the excuse, it wouldn't be enough to call Maria and make her accept it, but she had to communicate the painful truth to her disciple and close friend. She had to tell her the fact that even with all of her own power, even she could not revive Sakutaro. As long as you continue to strongly believe in Sakutaro's existence, that soul will not disappear. So Maria, please do not be sad. Even now, look, believe that Sakutaro is smiling right over there. No. No, no, no. You have to bring Sakutaro back to life. No, no, no. Give it up. There is no magic to revive Sakutaro. Despite that, you must strongly believe that Sakutaro will continue to exist as your close friend. That power will become magic. That's not magic. That's not magic. You have to bring Sakutaro back to life. You can't do it because Mama made him herself. Why did Mama make Sakutaro? It was to give him to me as a present, right? It was to make him my friend, right? Again, Rosa. Complete fucking bitch. Like, it's completely inexcusable. For just... Again, let me know in the comments if... I mean, granted, you probably had to watch the previous episode. But basically... Short story. Maria's, like, her dad is not in the picture. Rosa spends most of her time at work, but a lot of times she skips work and goes on vacations to eat luxury food while banging her boyfriend at vacation spots, while leaving her 9-year-old child home alone for multiple days on end, who has to go eat udon noodles and pastries from the local shop, who has no friends, and... who literally a handmade stuffed animal lion that Rosa, her mother herself, made to give her as a present, as a reward for being good, which Maria loved and was very happy to get. Maria then spoke to that stuffed animal to the point that regardless if you view it as a stuffed animal is alive and actually is her best friend, or is literally just a very emotionally depressed and isolated young child who honestly at this point was Rosa expecting Maria to fucking kill herself. Like, you're just gonna come home and Maria's either gone, kidnapped, run away, dead, like ties a little noose and hangs herself. I mean, given the way she treats Maria. And then a lot of times it's just constantly going off and being pissed off and yelling at Maria all the time. And even then, you know, Rosa's getting in trouble for the fact that, you know, she fucking parental abandonment and severe neglect and abuse of Maria. And because she's getting in trouble for being negligent and abusive to her own daughter, she now decides that the stuffed animal that she talks to as her best friend, one, because she loves and appreciates both the stuffed animal and that her mother gave it to her, but also that she is an extremely lonely person and that her talking to the stuffed animal is, even if you don't say Sakutaro is alive, is definitely a representation of a severe emotional trauma and emotional, well, loneliness, pain, suffering, psychological damage on Maria's part, and, well, basically her mind is making an attempt at, well, staying sane or happy or not broken. And at that point, it's like a crippled person using a pair of crutches. Sakutaro is, you know, letting, you know, her heart, you know, so to speak, walk. You know, one, there's nothing wrong in and of itself of her caring about a stuffed animal, talking to, heck, I value stuffed animals and talk to stuffed animals. But, that being said, someone doing it to the extent that Maria was, especially talking to it, making it talk as an air quotes kind of ventriloquism thing, but also seeing it as being very real and be very immersed into it. Yes, that can be definitely seen as a mental health issue, but at that point, it's not a cause, it's a bandage. Sakutaro isn't causing her distress. It's a coping mechanism. It's a way of, like, obviously, whether Sakutaro is in the picture or not, there is definitely a deep emotional wound and severe psychological damage occurring with Maria. Sakutaro is simply the way of treating that. It's, if nothing else, Sakutaro is not a cause or a injury. Sakutaro is a symptom of, Maria's problems. Sakutaro isn't causing the problems. In fact, he's helping, and he's helping her cope, and he's definitely it's kind of like saying if someone gets shot with a gun and then they get bandaged up at a doctor. The bandages aren't the cause of the injury. In fact, they are, helping treat the injury and heal the person. But seeing the bandages on the person, you know that they were hurt. In that situation, seeing, the situation with Maria and Sakutaro, one, you should have no ill will towards Sakutaro in any way, regardless of how you perceive his existence, whether it's just as a stuffed animal or as actually alive. That being said, regardless of however you view that, if a child, especially if it's like your own child, views a stuffed animal in such a way, perhaps ripping it apart in front of them with the stuffing flying everywhere, screaming at the child while yelling at the child that your best friend is dead, I feel definitely counts as abuse. I feel like it's definitely psychologically damaging, and I feel like her responding to Sakutaro the way she has been as like her best friend isn't a cause of any psychological issues with her, but it's definitely a symptom. It's the fact that she is and again, I would even if someone's super happy and has all the friends in the world, talking to a stuffed animal isn't a bad thing to do. There's nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to that, and that's not a bad thing. Heck, you could be the happiest person in the world, and there's no reason, you don't have to be sad and lonely to talk to a stuffed animal. You could be happy and have all the friends in the world and all the love in the world, and you could still feel the need that you want to talk to a stuffed animal. That's perfectly fine. However, definitely if you're a very lonely person, it's just, at the end of the day is this. Either you're a very lonely, isolated, depressed person, at which point you talking to the stuffed animal is a symptom of that injury, of that sadness, or even if you're the happiest person in the world and you have all the love and social everything you can imagine, you have tons of people who love you, and you want for nothing. You have an amazing, perfect life, you have everything you could want, and everyone loves you, even if everything's super great and you're happy and everything's perfect. At that point, if you're talking to a stuffed animal, the only thing that's a symptom of is that you are a very affectionate, warm, kind person who, one, definitely has a bit of an imaginative mind, and you definitely have a very active mind. It also means that you're a very caring, nurturing person. It means you're very sensitive. You're very emotional. It means, so even if you're super happy, if you're very depressed, then obviously talking to stuffed animal is a symptom of that depression. But at the same time, even if you're super happy, talking to the stuffed animal is just a symptom of that overflowing emotions that you have, that it's just, you just have an abundance of emotion where you want to talk to someone and you want to have close interpersonal discussions with someone that you feel you can trust and feel safe with, to the point that even if you have every kind of even if you had amazing friends, families, even a romantic partner, and everyone's like super supportive of you, at that point, if you're talking to a stuffed animal, well, that just means that you have a very strong emotional feelings about things. And again, it doesn't mean you don't have emotional, control or maturity. After all, I have very strong emotions, but I tend to not really express them in public, and I tend to have a lot of very strong self-control with that. Heck, a lot of people in public tend to think I'm like a robot or some shit. People tend to think I don't have emotions, which actually kind of hurts my feelings a bit. But, main point being is this. Having strong emotions and like emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence means that you are able to self-reflect and understand what you feel and why you feel the emotions you do, and you're able to perceive the emotional reactions of other people. You're able to try to understand the motivations of other people. But main point is this. Emotional intelligence is you understand how you feel. You understand why you feel the way you do, or at least you attempt to. It doesn't have to be a solid hit and miss thing for everything. Like, obviously, you can still interact with people and they act in a way and you're like, either one, you don't notice that they're feeling a certain way, or you're noticing it, but you don't understand why or what's going on. So you could certainly still be confused. And it doesn't mean you communicate the greatest either. Obviously, that could count as part of emotional, but I'm mainly talking about you have emotions, but you can control them. Like, I've seen people all the time in public and in like videos on the internet where people act like emotional wrecks, to where they have outbursts and they lash out at people. They act like fucking grown toddlers. They act like you see people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s who are behaving like immature children, fucking throwing temper tantrums and shit, and just being no self-control. And yet there's plenty of people out there that probably don't have very strong emotions and have no self-control, and they just like blow up their emotions everywhere. And they'll even call that like that. They'll say that that's them having emotional intelligence. Like, no, that's not you having emotional intelligence. That's you having no self-control over your emotions, to where you can't regulate your own emotions and you can't, express your emotions in a way that is, air quotes, socially acceptable. Or, more importantly, you cannot express your emotions in a way that is still in respect of other people's boundaries or respect of dignity of other people. You basically consider yourself the center of the universe, and you're just going to lash out your emotions in any way, regardless of how it affects other people, to the point that you're even actively hurting other people. And you're using other people as an emotional punching bag, basically. Like, and you see that all the time. Especially, you see tons of YouTube videos of people doing that. Like, not just them recording videos themselves more so, but I mean people recording footage of other people, to where people are just like going up to people and yelling in their face, or acting emotional. It's like, that's like, you see people going up and they'll start screaming at people and yelling various obscenities at them, or threatening them, or insulting them, or using all kinds of shaming language about them, or name calling, or they'll even just start throwing out random accusations. Or heck, you'll have people that'll get cornered on, like, you'll see all the time the whatever podcast thing with those, like, it's Brian and Andrew and people like that, to where like people will start having a discussion with them, and then when their issue is pointed out, like where they'll just either resort to name calling, or they'll start crying and playing like they're a victim, to where it's like they'll act, or like you'll see that a lot of times in where you'll see recorded footage of people to where they're actively going out and like starting riots or attacking people, and they're actively instigating and being aggressive and violent, and they're going up to people, harassing people, name calling people, yelling at people, being outright aggressive and just belligerent and just psychotic. But the moment they ever get called on even a tiny fraction of accountability for the just downright evil, malicious nature that they are having, that these people are downright deceptive and they are bloodthirsty, they'll just start turning on the waterworks. They'll just start fucking crying and claiming that they're a victim, and they'll call you a racist or every kind of istophobe, whatever bullshit, and just try to claim like, oh, you're a bad person like this. And it's like, what the fuck? And granted, off topic, but you get the point I'm going with here. It's just, I mean, heck, even Rosa was doing that, where like she's literally being very abusive to Maria, and then she's claiming that she's the victim in this situation. I mean, heck, there's a lot of times where like it's just, you'll see that all the time, and it's like, it's where the people like, and you deal with people that are just, they feel that their view on everything is absolutely right. They refuse to do anything. They have no sense of self-control or self-awareness. And all they do is just throw shame at people. They guilt you. They try to emotionally manipulate people. They try to fucking gaslight you. They just lie to your fucking face. To where, like, even if you catch them, like, in their fucking belligerence and call them out for the rudeness, they'll still claim that, oh, you were the person who's being rude. Or you call them out, like, you, like, on, like, it just, you even point blank prove that what they're fucking saying was lying, and they'll just double down on lying to you, and they'll get all emotional and yell and raise their voice and start name calling and try to just shame you into fucking compliance. It's basically just submit, acquiesce. I'm just going to yell at you and shame you and be overly emotional and just horrible to deal with and be insufferable and psychotic. And at that point, it's like, and of course, in that situation, a lot of people just back off and don't deal with the person anymore. At which point, the belligerent person, who's fucking out of their fucking mind, thinks they won the argument. Like, no, you didn't win the discussion. You didn't win anything. All you did was prove to the other person that you were completely unreasonable and that there's nothing to gain by talking to you. And at the end of the day, the person made a risk-cost-benefit analysis saying that there was nothing to gain by talking to you, and that just being around you, listening to you, and just seeing the disgusting faces that you're making, hearing the sounds you're making, hearing you yell and scream and just insult them, that it's just so unpleasant that they'd rather not deal with you. It's the equivalent of like, you come have an argument with somebody and you just smell like shit. And then the person leaves and doesn't want to talk to you anymore. It's not that you won the discussion, it's that you're just so fucking gross and disgusting that they just don't want to be around you. That it's just, they made a discussion that's like, they made, you know, They did a little equation in their head and decided that there was no benefit, like they weren't going to gain anything no matter what in a discussion with you, and that every moment they spent talking to you was going to be unpleasant, and that they'd rather, especially with the limited amount of time people have, you know, most people have jobs, or, you know, heck, most of us aren't going to live super, super long in life. I mean, humans at best are going to live to 120, and most of us aren't going to reach 80. I mean, and most of us have a lot of things we want to do, and there's limited time to do them. At the end of the day, sometimes you don't want to waste your time arguing with some rude, psychotic person in public or on the internet or whatever, because at the end of the day, it uses up your time. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm not gaining anything from this. And at the end of the day, talking to this person's very unpleasant. And especially if you're talking to these people in public, like, some of these people are like violent and shit. And at that point, you're like, well, one, I have nothing to gain from this. Two, talking to this person is just really tiring, exhausting, and it's just really unpleasant. And they disgust me in every way. But on top of that, this person's violent, and they're likely to just try to physically hurt me. At that point, it's like, I'm not going to... Again, you're not winning the argument. It's just the person doesn't want to engage with you anymore because they're disgusted by you. If anything, they're scared of you. It's like, and again, that person being scared of you doesn't mean you won the argument. It just means they're like, this person's a psychotic, unhinged person. It'd be like, imagine you're having a discussion with like fucking Charles Manson, and you just walk away and don't have the discussion with him. Or like The Devil's Reject, like, you know, the Rob Zombie movie. Like, say you're having a discussion with Captain Spaulding. I mean, provided in that situation Captain Spaulding lets you walk away without fucking killing you. But the main point is this. what does it benefit you trying to have a discussion with Captain Spaulding? Especially if he is very contrary to your opinion. Now, granted, I would imagine Captain Spaulding's honestly much more sane and stable than a lot of people I'm comparing him to in this situation. And that's a hell of a bar to set. But the main point being is this. If you were talking to someone like Captain Spaulding, the character from the movie, if he were absolutely real and you're talking to him, the main point is this. If you're having a discussion with this person, what is the probability this person, if you're having a discussion with them to where you hold a fundamentally opposing view to them, that they're going to try to hurt you? And the main point is this. One, this person, you don't want them to hurt you. So why would you be around them? Two, and this is a key point, usually, like when you watch the Rob Zombie movies, usually the way these people speak tends to be a bit vulgar. And while I'm not, a self-righteous, pretentious, Puritan about shit, at the same time, if I'm around somebody who is, talking in a way that I don't really care for, then, that's their call to talk that way, but I'm just going to remove myself from the situation. And of course, they always have pockets like that on the internet. You're going to have people on the internet who talk about vulgar shit sometimes. And of course, I understand sometimes there's stuff I talk about that's perhaps a bit too vulgar for other people. But at the end of the day, is this. At that point, it's their choice whether or not to engage with me on that. Obviously, while I view other people as certain extremes of certain thing, I know there are some people that would view, me as a bit of an extreme. After all, I cuss. I'll say fuck, shit, bitch, and heck, sometimes I'll talk about hentai and boobs and anime girls and shit, or I'll talk about glitches and exploits from video games. And sometimes people don't like the idea of talking about glitches and exploits from video games, oh, you're not allowed to use glitches in games, but I think it's kind of cool. But it's main thing is this. Having strong emotions is not the same thing as emotional intelligence. You can have strong emotions, but you can still have control over those emotions. And that's the thing with me. I have very strong emotions, but I tend to not really express them very much. Heck, if anything, this channel is a place for me to talk without a filter. Because most of my life, I don't really talk much. I tend to be by myself a lot. That's been majority of my life. And even then, well, I have had a lot of negative interactions with people as well. So that's also shaped a little bit of my views on things and my emotional standpoint. Then again, in general, I tend to be a very quiet, very withdrawn person. I don't really talk much to people, and when I do, I usually, I use them as a sounding board where I sort of use them to keep me on a set subject. And I'll usually avoid talking about myself and anything. And usually a lot of times if I do talk to people, it's usually say if I'm at work, it's a thing about a work thing that we're doing, about how to do a job and get this task accomplished and how to build this thing or move that thing and stuff like that. In general, anything that's personal really doesn't come up. Usually, I would say majority of the time, if anything comes up, a couple of guys at work occasionally talk about football teams and what they're expecting, with the Super Bowl and stuff. One of them, they were discussing which team they think is going to win. They're oh, well, this one team's got their quarterback's injured and they have to go to their second string quarterback. And they're well, we don't think that team's going to do as good because of that, and so they're going to lose that game. And that's pretty much most of that. It's either I discuss things about work that we're doing about how to do the job, or occasionally just stuff like that pops up. Hey, have you heard about this one band? Or, hey, see that thing at football? So, and even then, I'm not really much of a sports person, but I can, talk and adapt to the discussions that other people talk about. I obviously understand. I am a bit of a otaku. I like anime. I understand a lot of people don't like anime at all. So, of course, that's fine. I understand. They have their interest. I have mine. Same way, I'm not really much of a sports person, but a lot of times they'll bring that stuff up, and I can hop into that and talk about what little bit I know. But for the most part, I would say I'm relatively uninformed on sports because I really don't keep up with it very much. But that's mainly because it's just not that interesting to me. But in general, I just really don't talk much. I would say In the course of the videos that I've made for Let's Plays, I have talked more in videos for YouTube than I have the entire rest of my life. And I am 38 years old. I'm going on 39. I'll be 39 sometime in the next month. But between the videos that I have made on YouTube, I have talked more. Granted, to be fair, I talk a lot when I'm by myself, whether it's on the bike trails or pacing back and forth in my living room or just downstairs lifting weights. You know, I'll usually be talking to myself about a lot of things. Or, heck, when I first got divorced, I spent for the first 5 years, I spent a couple hours a day for the first 5 years sitting in my son's bedroom talking to his stuffed animals. Nowadays, I'm a lot better about that. I only spend about 15 minutes or so a day in there talking to the stuffed animals. But in general, I talk to stuffed animals. But yeah, I mean, he's got this one little stuffed animal there. It's a little reindeer. I call him Rudolph because, you know, Rudolph, you know, he's got a brown nose. But I give that little stuffed animal a hug. And talk to him about how I hope my son's doing okay and stuff. Sometimes if it's snowing out there, we'll look out the window together. Which I know probably sounds really fucking retarded. It's like, I'm an adult man holding a stuffed animal, looking out of the window of my son's bedroom that he hasn't been in for years. And I'm just there in front of a window holding a stuffed animal so that me and the stuffed animal can look out and just watch the snow together. I sound fucking retarded. But that's just who I am, I guess. There's nothing wrong with that, but I understand how I sound probably really weird and pathetic to everyone. Not that I'm going to change, ever. I am who I am. Main point being is I'm trying to remember what the fuck we were talking about. Main point is this. I'm trying to remember, like, something about emotional stuff, and I'm trying to remember what the fuck I was talking about. Like, what started this conversation? It was something about, like, oh yeah, the stuffed, like, basically is this. If you're talking to a stuffed animal because you're sad and depressed, then obviously that's a symptom of the fact that you're lonely and sad and you're hurt, or the fact that, say, if you're troubled, like, say if you went through, like, you know, PTSD stuff. Say you have post-traumatic stress disorder about certain things. Maybe you talk to things to, you know, as a way of sorting out your feelings, a way of self-reflection, a way of being pensive and, you know, very... I feel like there's a word that starts with the letter I. Introspective? I feel like that's not it, but it still technically applies. But like you're focusing on stuff about yourself and trying to understand yourself more. You're just working through, basically you're doing solo therapy at that point. Basically, you can't afford a real therapist? Okay, imagine that you're talking to Goku and he's your therapist. It's like, okay, imagine you're talking to any random anime character. Heck, how about this? You know, ever like listen to those AI voice things of like Joker? Where it's Joker doing AI motivation, like that's basically motivational speech or uplifting words, but it's done in Joker's voice. What if you like took those AI thing video? I'll try to put one of them in the description or something. But I'll try to find one. It's been like a year or something since I listened to any of that. But imagine like you changed the voice to be a Astolfo. Or what if it was like Yusuke Urameshi? Or Sailor Moon? Or Mega Man Volnut. Heck, let me grab that. Well, you guys know. I'm like, what if it was like the voice of Astolfo giving you advice? Or like the voice of Vegeta giving you a pep talk. Or like any anime, like what about Jack Hanma? What if Jack Hanma's trying to encourage you and give you some advice? Or, you know, tell you to keep trying, or tell you to like keep lifting, tell you to try to jog more, or get better sleep, or take care of yourself. You know, like imagine fucking I'm trying to think of someone. Fuck. Think about Illumi Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter giving you positive affirmations. Just imagine like an AI, like any of those videos of like positive affirmations, but it's an AI video where it's the voice of Illumi Zoldyck giving you positive affirmations, telling you to believe in yourself. But main thing is this: even if you're a happy person and you have all the love in the world and you're not lonely at all, there's nothing wrong with you still talking to stuffed animals in that situation. All that means, regardless of it being a situation where you're happy or sad, is that you have very strong emotions and that you express your emotions in that kind of way. After all, there's plenty of people who get very sad, very depressed, who probably would never, ever, ever talk to a stuffed animal or anything like that. And again, it's different people, works for different things. For example, at the end of the day is this. At the end of the day, if a depressed, sad, lonely, isolated person talks to a stuffed animal, that's more so an aspect, like them talking to it's a symptom of the fact they are lonely, but it's, no matter when they're happy, they're going to start talking to a stuffed animal. It's part of their personality. Basically, they're the kind of person that would have that kind of, and again, even if a person like is really to themselves and would never talk to a stuffed animal, again, it doesn't mean they don't have emotions. It just means they don't express them in that way. At the end of the day is this. Regardless if the person is happy or sad or scared or angry or any kind of emotion, positive or negative. Heck, even if it's fucking apathy, but they still feel the need to talk to someone. At the end of the day, even if the person's the happiest, most loved person in the world, or the most sad, most lonely person in the world, if the person's talking to a stuffed animal, then that's a core aspect of their personality that exists regardless of their mood. And it's just how they express themselves. So there are some people, now, and like I said, there are some people that no matter how sad or angry or alone they might ever be, they would probably never talk to a stuffed animal, ever, under any circumstance. But that's just different people have different ways of emotionally or mentally or even psychologically. I mean, it's kind of the idea of, like, for example, I think there's aphantasia. There's a thing where people can't imagine pictures in their head. It's like they literally can't imagine a picture in their head. Same way, there's like some people, I don't know the exact percentages, but apparently there are some people that don't have a dialogue in their own head. Like, which, again, let me know in the comments which side of this spectrum you're on. But I don't know what the percentages are. But I feel like it's like half and half, but I'm probably wrong on that. I don't really remember. But that's just sort of like the figure that pops in my head. But it's just, there are some people that don't have like an inner dialogue, an inner monologue. There are some people that don't have, heck, some people call that as like executive reasoning or something like that. Which again, each of these are technically different things. Technically an inner monologue and like can you, when you think, do you imagine yourself speaking in your own head? Do you like imagine the words in your head? Do you imagine like you're talking in your own head? And of course, some people do, some people don't. And of course, there's different extremes of it. I mean, there are times where I have like 8 different lines of thought going at the same time. So it's more like I'm having like 8 different conversations in my head at once. And sometimes it becomes extremely difficult for me to focus on one and then, of course, voice that out loud. Because sometimes it's like I'm thinking about multiple things and it's sometimes a bit difficult for me to communicate that. And of course I have that issue when it comes to communication for multiple things. Like I don't really have an official diagnosis from a doctor, like in terms of autism or ADHD or borderline personality disorder. But when I look at the symptoms list and I feel like I check every fucking box pretty much, and when I take the online little quiz things about do you have autism, and I fucking pass them with flying colors, or according to the test I'm like apparently very, very much ADHD or have very severe depression, to the point that the fucking thing recommends me sites to try to talk to people. It's like, no, I'm not suicidal. Just because I fucking aced your depression test to where I'm basically as depressed as possible, to where I couldn't have answered the fucking questions in any way that would indicate a greater level of depression than what is the maximum fucking score. I will say this. I don't have schizophrenia, but I do know that disorganized speech is technically listed as one of the symptoms of that. And I definitely have disorganized speech. Like, whether it's in how I talk and how I think and how I write with a pen, or how I type on a keyboard or a phone or any of that, or a computer. Definitely disorganized speech. The way in which I communicate is an incoherent, jumbled mess, and a lot of times I go off on tangents, I get easily distracted, I sometimes hyperfixate on things, I sometimes try to talk about multiple things at once, I sometimes notice connections between things that apparently other people think doesn't exist. In terms of like, I think about this one thing and then it makes me think about this other thing, and then my thoughts go over this thing, or I'll be thinking about multiple lines of dialogue. And again, it's like that thing where you have like the inner dialogue where you have like words in your head and like it's someone talking. I have several, again, it's not split personality because I'm not multiple fucking people, but I'll also think in multiple directions at once. Not that it helps me with anything. And heck, there's sometimes where I'll like have mock discussions with myself to where I'm like trying to debate with myself on certain things, where I'm like, okay, I'm approaching this point that I'm making about this thing that I think about. So here is my point of view. So now I'm arguing for it and against it. And sometimes like maybe I'll start pretending that the person I'm discussing with is an anime character, in which point me and like Goku are discussing how to do math or some shit. Again, for a random fucking example. Or if there's like a discussion about or sometimes I'll ruminate a bit, I'll look back on previous discussions and conversations I had, even conversations that I had 30 plus years ago, and things that occurred, 30 plus years ago, and I'll reevaluate those circumstances of things that happened, and look back at that and realize that they were things that were occurring that I didn't understand at that age, in terms of the way people were behaving and things that were said and things that were just, you tend to just gloss over, especially if you look back at certain things that are traumatic. Usually you tend to not really, perhaps even suppress that a bit because it's very sad and shit. But I'll say this. I'm pretty sure I have autism. I'm pretty sure I have a lot of autism. I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I'm pretty sure I have a lot of ADHD. I'm pretty sure I have depression. I'm pretty sure I have a lot of depression. I'm pretty sure I have borderline personality disorder. I don't know if I would describe that as a lot, though. I'm not really sure there. I also know I have a lot of PTSD and trauma issues, and I tend to be a very introverted person. And I sometimes tend to be very depressed, and sometimes I tend to be manic depressive. Sometimes I tend to talk a lot. Sometimes my mood fucking swings wildly. So it's like, hey, let's have full blast emotions this way, and then full blast emotions this other way. And sometimes it'll switch in minutes. Sometimes it'll be that way for fucking days. And of course, there's sometimes I'll be thinking about, something, like something a family member or something fucking said to me about something, or some way someone fucking wronged me about something. I'm like, or a criticism I was given in real life about certain things, and it's like, or certain things, how people mistreated you on certain things, and you think, oh, you let that go, but at the same time, it's just like, one, still fucked up and wrong, and two, I mean, again, if you look back at certain things, like, okay, here's situations where, like, you had 5v1 where just 5 fucking people just are around you beating the fucking shit out of you, or being told to kill yourself 1,000 times a day, every single day for a decade. Yay for fucking childhoods and school. Got bullied just a tiny bit. Ha, ha, ha. And so many times people just, hey, there's a group of people. Let's all beat the fucking shit out of Lunar. You know what really sucks? Being in the back alley behind a fucking quickie mart, like it's a fucking little shop mart thing run by some Indian dude. Not that the Indian dude even was aware that what was going on behind his fucking store, but it's, hey, it's me and 5 dudes, all fucking bigger than me, beating the fucking shit out of me for like half an hour to an hour. Do you have any idea how much sucks getting punched in the face several hundred times? And getting slammed into a brick wall, getting stomped on, getting kicked in the face and the ribs for like 40 fucking minutes. And that's just one fucking situation. Do you ever have people fucking just choke you out? People run up behind you, drop kick you in the back of the knees. You ever have people try to chop your fucking arms off or run at you with an actual full-size axe, or try to use the fucking construction paper thing that cuts paper in a fucking classroom with the intention of wanting to try to amputate your limbs, or try to run at you to the intention of try to use paper clips or pins or whatever shit, try to gouge you in the fucking eyeballs? Have people like throwing rocks at you? Just every day, at least a dozen different people fucking spit on you. And again, you're like, oh, that was decades ago, Lunar. Yes. Yes, it was. But in general, feeling like everyone in the world hates you kind of sucks. Especially when there's a lack of any sort of positive reinforcement in the modern day. Like, it's one thing, okay, there was a lot of really horrible negative reinforcement in the past, but, it'd be kind of nice if there was a nice good amount of positive reinforcement in the future. But I don't remember what a fucking hug feels like. So, technically I hug a stuffed animal. And usually once a month I'll give my mom a hug for about 10 seconds. Like once a month. I hug a pillow when I sleep. Main point being is that, I think it was good of Rosa to give Sakutaro. I think it was really fucked up of her to tear apart her stuffed animal in front of her and look her in the face and yell that your friend is dead, Sakutaro is dead. I feel like that was not very nice. I feel that if a person is the kind of person who talks to stuffed animals, then that is just an aspect of their personality. It is the kind of person they are. I don't know what other personality aspects you would attribute to that sort of person. I would say usually of a person, regardless if they're happy or sad or even good or evil or anywhere in between, the fucking D&D alignment on that bullshit. Regardless if someone's happy or sad or good or evil, I would say there's some aspect to a person's personality that would make them talk to a stuffed animal, regardless of what their mood is, regardless of what their morality is, regardless of what their culture is, or even who they are as a person. And I would say, whatever that personality quirk is, or eccentricity, or characteristic, whatever that trait is, whatever it is something that Maria clearly has. And again, while I've described myself as, if I was going to describe myself as a fusion of any two characters in this game, it would be Maria and Battler. I would say if you were to combine the personality characteristics of Battler Ushiromiya and Maria Ushiromiya, you would get me. That being said, I definitely do the same emotional, personality, psychological characteristic, whatever the trait is, that causes Maria to be the kind of person that would talk to stuffed animals, regardless of whether or not she's good, evil. Like, even if she becomes a super good person in the future, or becomes a super evil person, regardless if she's super happy or super sad in the future. There is some trait about Maria that makes her talk to stuffed animals, like the way she does with Sakutaro, or the 4 rabbits, or the frog band dude, or the rest of the chess pieces. I mean, I do the same thing. I've actually talked to fucking chess pieces like that before. Even imagine them like, what if they had this cool design or that cool design? Then again, like we were discussing aphantasia stuff, like some people can't imagine pictures in their head. Some people can't imagine sounds. Some people don't have an inner dialogue. I have an inner dialogue all the fucking time. Like a lot. Like sometimes several lines of it. Sometimes I'm having multiple discussions. Sometimes I'm like fucking arguing with myself in my own fucking head. Sometimes I'm thinking about multiple different things at a time. Like, here's the thing. I'm at work. I'll be doing my job. I might be discussing something with someone, and then I'll be imagining multiple other things in my head. I'm like, okay, I'll be thinking about this one thing that makes me sad. I'll be thinking about my son. I'll be thinking about anime. I'll be thinking about this one cool video game that's coming up. I'll be imagining, like, how to explain how to do the quadratic equations to a rabbit. Everyone's like, that doesn't make sense. I walked on a fucking bike trail, and a rabbit walked next to me, and as the rabbit was walking or hopping next to me, I was explaining how to do quadratic equations in math to the rabbit. I also told the rabbit the plot to a video game. I don't think the rabbit understood me because it's a rabbit. I also pray a lot. I'll talk to God. I'll fucking sometimes spend hours and hours and hours pacing back and forth, literally just staring at my wall, having a conversation as though I'm talking directly to God. Heck, and of course, there's a lot of times if I make a video, I sometimes get I'm trying not to go on tangents. I'm trying to make shorter videos. Like the goal is I'm going to make 20-minute long videos, and I'm not going to make tangents. I'm not going to be distracted or go off on like whatever and talk about things, or like I will try to not have ADHD or autism, but I can't fucking do it. It's a struggle. I'm doing my best, but no, we're all here for this ride. You're hearing me talk about shit. So, again, I'm trying to avoid talking about random. I'm trying to focus on the game, and I'm trying to keep short videos of 20 minutes. But then, like 4.5 years ago or some shit, I made a 13.5-hour long video, which I couldn't upload to YouTube because YouTube won't let me upload things greater than 12 hours. And I recorded small snippets of it in 2 different videos, but only the parts that I felt were at least the least depressing. One where I was singing a bendy song, and the other one where I was singing the Scatman song. This is like 4.5 years ago, but the original thing is 13.5 hours. It was a 13.5 hour long video. And initially I was going to upload it, but YouTube wouldn't let me upload it, and I would have to re-record it by like playing the video with the audio recording software, recording it. Which again, I did that with a couple snippets where I basically put the video on play and then just let OBS re-record itself while I just take a nap. Or just walk around, like, okay, I set the recording to the part that I want to re-record. I'll just push play, let it re-record itself while I go like brush my teeth or something, or take a shower, or eat a bowl of cereal or something, or get a pizza, and then come back and just push stop. But yeah, 13.5 hour long video. I easily spent like 8 hours of that crying. And I mean full on fucking like the amount of crying that Maria was doing earlier. I was actually making those noises. I was crying. My face was covered with tears and snot for like 8 hours straight at least. And here's the thing. I was crying at screaming volumes. I was also laughing hysterically while crying. I was laughing at screaming volumes while crying at screaming volumes. Also, apparently the human body can only handle so much stress, because after so much, like, I think, again, probably like 9 hours into that video, I started losing feeling in my limbs, getting dizzy, and vomiting everywhere. Because apparently my body was like freaking the fuck out and starting to shake and get like low blood pressure, because apparently, you know, spending like 7, 8, 9 hours straight crying with your face covered in tears at screaming volumes while laughing is apparently more stress than a human body is apparently supposed to handle. And I just sort of started, you know, not saying a seizure, but like I couldn't really feel my arms and legs, and everything was shaking, and I was dizzy, and I was puking a lot. So, not the best sign of something being good for your physical health. But, yeah, 13.5 hour long video. And again, it's just, you know, again, place for me to talk about a filter, but, and again, it's not like I didn't, like, one, it was just too much fucking work. Honestly, that's one big thing. It was just too much fucking work to have to re-record such a long-ass fucking video. Granted, like, yeah, okay, I just push play and let it record itself, but at that point, and of course, it'd just be an issue of time, that's fine. It's not like I haven't done that before in terms of time when it came to things. I have the world record for the deepest floor in the Binding of Isaac. In the Binding of Isaac Repentance, infinite basements, endless basements. I have a 3-minute video that showcases the culmination of what took me 2 fucking months to do. And the fucking timer in the video, I think, says like 20-something hours. But of course, the timer stops every time you load a new floor or load a boss segment. And that usually takes a little bit of time. So it really took 40 plus hours. It took me 40 plus hours over the course of 2 months to get to floor 9,000 and plus in the Binding of Isaac. I gotta, like, what was the other thing I need to write stuff down. I'm gonna, like, forget. Ow, my back. Ow, my back hurts. I knocked over a brush. Okay, let's see. AI Stolfo Joker. What was the other thing? I already forgot. Right. 9,000 Isaac. Yeah, that's good enough. I'll also do all the Nekos. That's okay. So that's 3 videos I'll put in there. Okay. That being said, Yeah, I went to floor 9,000 in the... Now, granted, it's not like that requires skill. Anybody could do it. It's just a question of who wants to spend the amount of time it takes to do it. Same way, I spent 37 hours to get 9,001 deaths in Crash Bandicoot 4 in a single stage. I won't put the link to that unless you guys ask for it. Unless you ask for that link. It's one of the videos on my channel. But basically, I spent 37 hours listening to Korn albums. The band Korn. It starts with a K. It's got Jonathan Davis in it. I spent 37 hours listening to Korn and other bands like that, while repeatedly killing Crash Bandicoot in the exact same spot, over and over again, until I had a death counter of over 9,000. I also have a video called All the Nekos Are Meowing for Head Pats, where I sang a song I wrote myself that is set to the same pacing as Sweet Dreams, the Marilyn Manson song, and it's All the Nekos Are Meowing for Head Pats. I wrote a song about cat girls, and I technically sang it 1.5 times. The half is my first attempt at singing it. I cracked up laughing because of how fucking cringy it is. The main point is this. I'm not new, or it's not unheard of for me to spend an absurd amount of time to try to do something if I suddenly have the interest to do it. That being said, it was really fucking depressing re-listening to the sounds I was making. It's not like, oh, I'm not going to upload this video because it's cringe or it makes me look bad. Everything I fucking upload is cringe. I am the cringiest person on the interwebs, okay? On the internet, okay? I understand I'm boring and annoying, and I understand I am weird. But most of all, I understand I'm fucking cringy. I understand every video I make is fucking cringe. I am cringe. Okay? And I understand every video I make makes me look bad. Every video I've made, I sound like a complete fucking loser and dumb and awful and terrible stuff. And again, it's not like... And here's the thing. I don't know if I'll ever have a dedicated VTuber model that I'll ever use. I made a few VTuber videos, but it was always with just a random thing I just sort of strung together myself very quickly, or something that was a free model that's copyright free that I'm allowed to anybody's allowed to use. Especially when I did the singing and like the Keine Liebe stuff and all that stuff, where I was trying to sing in German and stuff. Also, I've done karaoke videos and stuff like that. But again, it's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to like represent myself as a cute anime boy. You know, I'm a Bishonen character. Like, I'm a Lumi Zoldyck or something like that. But at the same time, I know I'm not. Like, I understand fully well that I am very fucking ugly. I have never met anyone IRL that actually thought I was attractive. Every relationship partner I've ever had, when we broke up, made certain to tell me that they were lying to me the whole time about finding me attractive. That they never actually found me attractive. So... And again, maybe they just said that as a way of being emotionally hurtful to me. I mean, whether it's true or not, the fact they feel the need to say that is not very nice. Main point is this. I don't really dislike how I look. I don't really dislike my face, but I do dislike the fact that everyone else constantly seems to voice that they have some issue with it. Like, I've literally had a best friend at one point who said to me, hey, Lunar, you're actually not a bad guy. It's just terrible your face looks like that. I'm like, thank you. And I left it at that. But in my mind, I'm like, you know, I don't know if he really was trying to make me feel better or not, but it's like, it didn't. I felt like that kind of hurt my feelings. But in general, it's more so just, hey, it'd be nice to, you know, have compliments and feel like someone finds you attractive or values you or cares about you or respects you and shit. That'd be nice. But yeah, it's just when it comes to the whole... But yeah, it's just I didn't want to re-record that because this, like, it's not like, oh, I want to upload a video because it makes me look bad or cringe, because everything I do is cringe. It makes me look bad. Everything makes me sound like I'm just a horrible monster and I'm a terrible person. And I'm awful at everything. That's whatever. It's more so just... It was the sound of me crying hysterically for 9 fucking hours straight while screaming. Crying at screaming volumes while laughing at screaming volumes while crying. It made me feel very sad listening to that. The main reason I didn't re-record that and upload it was because I don't want to ever hear myself or anyone else ever make that sound again, because it made me feel very, very sad. It is very depressing. I felt it was emotionally painful re-listening to the sound of me crying at screaming volumes. And I'm like, I just don't want to hear this again. I'd rather just delete the video because I don't want to hear that, because it makes me feel really sad. But yeah, like, I was going to talk about like the other DBZ fusion things. Like, I've described myself like my personality is the fusion of 11 fusions. Technically all 22 of these characters combined. Though I have said like I'm a combination, like, heck, Yusuke Urameshi and Sailor Moon. Heck, look at my profile picture. Though, if you look at the banner that's on my YouTube channel, that's Zelos Metallium from the Slayers anime. But at the same time, I would also say that in both physical appearance and personality, if you did a DBZ fusion of Astolfo and Jack Hanma, you would get Ramuda Amamura. Now, granted, I definitely do not look like Ramuda Amamura, but I could definitely see his aspects of his personality. But I would say the best way to describe my personality is a Dragon Ball Z fusion of Yusuke Urameshi and Sailor Moon, a Dragon Ball Z fusion of Astolfo and Jack Hanma, a Dragon Ball Z fusion of Chrono Gorgon and Vasha Stampede, a Dragon Ball Z fusion of Stein from Soul Eater and Nagisa Shiota from Assassination Classroom. Fusion of Chip the Cable Guy, Jim Carrey, and Ernest P. Worrell, Jim Varney. The fusion of Vegeta and 2003 Guilty Gear XX Testament. The fusion of Goku and Tsukasa from the anime Dot Hack Sign. The fusion of Shinji Ikari and Zelos Metallium. The fusion of Lichtbach Rihito and Takumi Nishijo. The fusion of Date and Mikan Sumiki. And the fusion of Mega Man Volnut and Alucard. Yusuke Urameshi is from the anime Yu Yu Hakusho. Sailor Moon is from the anime Sailor Moon. Astolfo is from Fate. Jack Hanma is from Baki the Grappler. Chrono Gorgon is from Soul Eater. Vash is from Trigun. Stein is also from Soul Eater. Nagisa is from Assassination Classroom. Chip is a character from the movie called Cable Guy, played by Jim Carrey. Ernest P. Worrell is a character played by Jim Varney in the Ernest movies, like Scared Stupid and Ernest Goes to Wherever, like camp and stuff. Vegeta is from DBZ. Testament is from the Guilty Gear game, though I mean specifically from the Guilty Gear XX game from the year 2003, which is 23 years ago now. Goku also from Dragon Ball Z, Tsukasa from the anime Dot Hack Sign, Shinji Ikari from Evangelion, Zelos Metallium from the anime Slayers, which stars Lena Inverse, Lichtbach Rihito, a character from the anime Plunderer, Takumi Nishijo from the video game Chaos Head Noah, which also has an anime of it. Date from AI The Somnium Files, which is a video game. Mikan Sumaki from Danganronpa Goodbye Despair Island, which is a video game. Mega Man Volnut from the video game Mega Man Legends, and Alucard from Team 4 Star's Hellsing Abridged Ultimate. That being said, returning to this, I definitely say that I kind of am Sakutaro in terms of stuff and the way I behave. But at the same time, personality, out of all the people in the game, like, I can definitely see some parallels in certain characters like canon and stuff. But I would say the most accurate way to get a description of my personality would be a Dragon Ball Z Potara earring fusion of Maria and Battler. Heck, at this point I'm wondering, like, is the ending of this series, and of course we're barely even halfway into this, if that. I don't know how long the other 4 episodes are going to be, and I don't know how far we are in episode 4. But here's the thing I gotta say, and technically episode 4 is the last episode of the question arcs, and then we have episodes 5, 6, 7, and 8, which are the answer arcs. So who knows where that's going to go. It'll probably be very chaotic by the end of this episode of episode 4, which we probably have another 50 fucking videos to get through to get to that point. But at that point, it's going to be like a fucking, like, it's going to be like a lot of unanswered questions are brought up to the surface, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? And you're trying to, like, connect the dots like you're like you're the fucking ancient aliens guy, like, oh, conspiracy theories and shit. You know? But it's just, it'll definitely be very interesting. I'll definitely say that. But here's the main thing I gotta say. Definitely if you combine the personality of Maria and Battler, you get me. I'll also say this. I'm wondering, like, if it's possible that by the end of this, Maria and Battler are still alive. Like I said, maybe Battler's just unconscious in a coma for the past, because like I said, that's what Angie was going at, like, well, she's not going to see her family again. Well, either we're going to the Trunks from, you know, Team 4 Stars, and again, if you like the Team 4 Stars Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I would also recommend Gozar, Gozar, Gozar's alternate reality DBZ Abridged. Hilarious stuff. That being said, it's like Team 4 Star, but it's much more chaotic, much more short form, and it's also much more ADHD. It's also all done by one dude who probably has mental health problems. So that's kind of where you're going with. Just, it's Team 4 Star, but it's more chaotic and less structured. And like it's made by somebody with like severe autism. So you know it's good. Yes, I'm making a chaotic good barbarian reference. It's made by dwarves with autism. Fuck. But it's just, and I'll say this, the Fantasia stuff, like, I'm the opposite of that shit. I can imagine a picture of anything in my head. I am now imagining Sylvia from Konosuba naked. She has very big tits and a big dick. Yes, she's a futa. Everyone's like, you didn't have to tell us that. Yes, I did not have to tell you that. But I chose to. I chose to tell you that I'm imagining in my mind a naked, tall woman with giant tits and a big penis. And fat nuts. Now I'm thinking about Rocky Road ice cream. I guess I must like my ice cream like I like my women. Big marshmallows with marshmallows and walnuts. I was about saying a big sausage too, but now I'm thinking, like, I want a coney dog or chili dogs. You guys remember how, like, Sonic the Hedgehog eats chili dogs? What's the best kind of chili dog? Let me know in the comments, like, what kind of chili dogs are good chili dogs. What do you guys put on chili dogs? What are, like, good restaurants that serve chili dogs? Hey, since, like, it's 2026, right, guys? That's, like, Sonic the Hedgehog's 35th anniversary, right? It's been 35 years since Sonic the Hedgehog, right? Are we getting a new Sonic game? Are we going to get Sonic Frontiers 2? Wait a minute. That means Sonic the Hedgehog's actually old enough to run for president. That's hilarious. Okay. Getting distracted. But I also wonder, like, what personality is, adult Maria going to have? Like, are we going to see an adult Maria at any point in this game? What kind of personality will that person have? But like I said, obviously Angie is either going the route of the Team 4 Stars Trunks, where multiverse theory is a bitch. And it's like, okay, you saved your family, but they're going to return back home in a parallel dimension to a version of you that exists in that parallel dimension. The parents and loved ones that you loved in your dimension, they're still dead. But at the very least, you'd have closure, and you'd have the knowledge that at least there's a version of them somewhere where you were able to make sure things worked out. That being said, it could also be that you find a timeline where it's like, okay, to where they stay missing for that entire time until you did the stuff to figure out where they were. Where Angie's, in the modern era. And then you find them then. But it's like, okay, then in that situation, how is your family alive, but also they never came home to you? At which point I would have to say amnesia. Like maybe like Battler and Maria built a raft in order to escape, or they were on a boat and the typhoon hit them and they got stranded on an island, and Maria and Battler have been living on an island by themselves, eating coconuts and like Minecrafting stuff. Where's it Hightail now? Because they made a new Minecraft game. I don't know. I haven't played it, but I've seen some stuff other people playing it. I still like the old Aether mods. And I like... Heck, what's that? There's Zeta. I'll also try to put a link to that down below. But there's a person called Zeta Plays. He even played Dragon Spirit, the New Legend. The NES game at my request. He technically made it in 2 videos. But, so maybe I'll include that too. But he did like videos of him playing Minecraft, especially when the Nether first came out. I'll say this, when it came to old school Minecraft, because I'll say this, I've tried to play Minecraft recently. I don't like what it's become. It just doesn't play right anymore as far as I'm concerned. So I liked like 2010 Minecraft a lot better than 2026 Minecraft. Especially you had a lot more of those spider caves with the rail tracks and all that stuff everywhere. That was a lot more fun than what's the stuff going on now. I mean, on the one hand, I'm glad they added more stuff, but at the same time, I just don't really seem to enjoy it. Or maybe it's just because I'm old. I don't know. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's just I remember the old Aether mods and the Hex, not Hexic. I remember Hexic though. Hexic was okay. I remember the Aether mod, that was really good, but also the Tekkit mod. The Tekkit mod, though I played Minecraft like a fucking psychopath. Like, what are you going to do, Lunar? I'm going to dig a quarry. What are you going to do now after? I'm going to dig another quarry. I'm going to make this world just full of fucking holes, and I'm going to put everything in fucking chests. Oh, but there's a lake. I'm going to drain the lake. And then I'm going to dig a quarry in the middle of the lake. What are you going to do? I'm going to chop down all those trees. And then I'm going to make the trees into chests and put the trees in the chests. But I'm like, but I'd say this, like, maybe Rudolph, Kyrie, Battler, and Maria all survive. And they're just all trapped on a remote island. Or maybe they've been trapped underground underneath Kenzo's mansion and they were never found. And they've been living off of war rations because Kenzo was technically preparing for Fallout video games to occur. and they just been. Though at that point they'd also probably like be very pale and burn in sunlight at that point. How exactly would it affect you? I mean, I know you need sunlight for like vitamin D and stuff, and I mean, I feel like the Volt thing and Fallout has a lot of. Then again, a lot of those Volts from Fallout have problems. I'm just saying this. The whole Aphantasia things, I have the opposite. I can picture things in my mind really easily. I can imagine sounds and entire songs in my head. Now, that being said, I can't convert that to sounds for you guys to hear, because at the end of the day, I'm kind of monotone, and so at the end of the day, I can imagine a sound in my head, I can imagine a song, I can imagine a singer, and exactly how they sound, or how an instrument sounds, or how something sounds in my head, but I can't really recreate that sound very well. Like, I'll try to make those sounds, but I definitely come across as very tone deaf. But I definitely can imagine all those sounds. I can imagine smells. I can imagine tastes. I dream a lot. I have very vivid dreams when I sleep. I can imagine things. Like, not only do I have dialogue in my head, if albeit a bit chaotic, and I can like basically have thoughts running nonstop, but also like I can imagine a ball or a cube in my hand, and I can just move it around in my hand. Now, granted, it doesn't exist, and it's not like I can make the imaginary cube in my hand interact with anything in the world. It doesn't actually exist, and it doesn't, it's not like I have fucking telekinesis or the ability to affect anything in the real world. But I can imagine an apple. I could imagine how the apple, I can actually imagine how it smells, how it tastes, how it would sound as you bite into it. I can imagine it clearly how it looks. I can even just move it around in my hand, feeling the texture and firmness of the apple. I can throw the apple up and down and imagine and like feel the weight of the imaginary apple landing in my fucking hand. I can imagine a cube or a sphere or a geometric object and just spinning it around in my hand and feel it as if it's real. But it's obviously not real, and obviously no matter how much you imagine that, it doesn't actually affect anything in the real world in any way, shape, or form. And I'll say this, as much as you can imagine stuff like that, I'd rather be feeling real boobs that are actually real than just imagining it. Yes, I have to make all of you uncomfortable. It's like part of the contract. It's what Lunar Dee Eight Studios is. Okay. Enough like being distracted. The main point is this. Whatever personality characteristic that Maria has that causes her to talk to stuffed animals, I also have that. Whatever that characteristic is, whatever that personality trait is that would cause a person to basically be Maria, I have that. I don't know what to call it, but at this point, like I said, if you combine Maria's personality and Battler's personality, you get my personality. That's me. You basically do a DBZ fusion of Maria and Battler, you get Lunar Dee Eight. So why did Mama make it herself and break it herself? Why did Mama give birth to it by herself and try to break it herself? I don't understand. I don't understand. I hate Mama. Can't stand it. Can't stand it. It's too sad. Too sad. Want to smash Mama up like she did to Sakutaro. Want to stick my fingernails in and turn her into cloth and cotton. Wah, crying noise. I can't stand it. Beatrice. Wah, Sakutaro. From the darkness behind Maria's back, two massive, jet black arms crept out, twisting around Maria as she sobbed in anger. Then massive fingernails stuck into Maria's chest and stomach. Maria could not see that, but Beato could. Anger and sadness, without any place to go, will tear you apart. Beato knew that. She could see that. Yes. In the end, those massive arms were Maria's own. Those fingernails slowly started to eat into her chest and stomach. With their immense size and strength, those arms could probably tear Maria into bits easily. But Maria herself couldn't notice, drowning in a sea of her own tears. She couldn't notice that her own arms were trying to tear her apart her own chest. I can't stand it, I can't stand it. If Sakutaro can't be brought back to life no matter what, I want revenge. If Sakutaro can't be brought back to life no matter what, I want revenge. Want to make Mama meet the same end. Want her to meet the same end as Sakutaro. Beatrice, teach me magic for that. Teach me magic to beat Mama. Is that truly how you feel? Kill Mama. I'll kill her. No, that isn't Mama. It's the bad witch possessing Mama. I'll kill the witch Mama. Ooh. Very well. I shall give you that power for tearing you and your beautiful heart apart. For giving you that pain. It is fitting that your heartless mother be torn apart considerably. I shall teach it to you. I shall teach you of the abyss in the world of witches, of the depths where no light reaches. Ooh, Sakutaro, Sakutaro. Hate. I hate everyone. I hate Mama too, Angie too. I hate everyone. Ooh, I mean, and again, we made a long video. I will try my best to not do that. I had planned on taking a nap, but the boat really was shaking bad. Oh, we're actually taking a boat to actual Rockinjima proper. Well, I'm going to save my game. I am then going to go get some Popeye's chicken, eat it while watching Let's Play videos on YouTube, and then go to sleep. And then wake up and go back to work. In the future, I will try to keep to 20-minute videos, because we made an hour and a half. I need to try to keep the videos a bit shorter. But regardless of all of that, I guess the main thing we learned is it is unwise to kill a witch's familiar. Heck, it's technically unwise to kill anyone's familiar. But yeah, thanks to everyone out there for hanging out with this. Well, the most annoying tsundere on the internet. Hi, I'm Lunar. I am just the odd tsundere Let's Player on YouTube. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I hope everyone has a good day, drink plenty of water, sleep well, and I hope everyone has all the hugs and head pats you could ever want or need. And thanks, and bye.